Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in today's podcast, we're going to be looking ahead, previewing the two big matches coming up this weekend. First up, we have Man City taking on a resurgent Chelsea. And then, of course, we also have Brentford taking on Liverpool. Now, joining me this evening to preview these two matches and to talk some EPL football in general, we have returning to the podcast, Christophe.
Good to be back again, viewers.
Yes, indeed, Christoph. Always a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Over the last couple of weeks, you've definitely been giving us some good insight into these matches. And thanks again to our viewers and subscribers for logging on. Please, again, feel free to like, share, and of course, leave your comment. And if you haven't subscribed as yet, become one of our subscribers. But let's jump straight into these matches, Christoph. Let's talk first Brentford versus Liverpool. This one, Liverpool playing away from home. Christoph, what are your thoughts on these two teams, entering into this match and this hotly contested Premier League title?
Well, going into the match, I would predict a win for Liverpool. Um, Not because I think Brentford is very bad or anything like that, just because I see Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, and even United picking up steam. Currently, Brentford, however, has been form has been spotty, to say the least. But with the return of Ivan Toney, they have been bolstered. They have been scoring those goals. So it's more a question of how good would Liverpool's defense be on the day, because Brentford do have the ability to spring some surprises on them, so to speak. And we know in Ivan Toney, they do have that goal scoring potential. But we have seen in recent weeks Liverpool, like we said, picking up form, that front line playing very well. Players have stepped up in the absence of Mohamed Salah and in the absence of who's the Liverpool right back?
Or Trent
Trent,
Arnold
yes,
Alexander.
Trent, and we've seen players stepping up for Trent Alexander-Arnold as well. So I think it will be a Liverpool win. But it's one of those games with the potential to see Brentford doing very well because Liverpool's defense on the day might be shoddy.
Interesting insight there, Christoph. To be honest, I disagree with you somewhat. I think this game is gonna be an acid test for this Liverpool outfit. Brentford under their manager has been a very formidable team at home. So Liverpool going away from home. Yeah, I just think Brentford has the capabilities to really create an upset and, a big upset in this title race, to be honest. Frank always has a plan for teams visiting them. And I don't believe this game is going to be any different. Brentford is a very physical team and they are excellent on set plays as well. And I just think Liverpool, with their defensive fragilities, I'm not sure they'll be able to cope with the physicality of Brentford. And especially as you mentioned, the talisman is back. Ivan Toney has hit the ground running, hasn't played for 6 months, but yet have come into the Brentford team and have been scoring, assisting, and really creating havoc in the games he has played thus far, Christoph.
Yes, yes, those are some merits to Brentford, but Brentford's credential against the top four, top five teams have been poor. I mean, recently we saw them being beaten by Tottenham. We saw them beaten by Man City. I mean, we expect the Man City at least.
Yeah, but I
And
mean,
we've
if
seen
you
them
watch
beaten
those
by
games, though, if you
a
watch
poor
those games,
Crystal
though,
Palace team.
Christoph, you would see that they did put up a fight until their low block defense was breached, to be honest. That's what we
No,
saw in those games.
I'm not saying they won't put up a fight. I'm saying Liverpool has more firepower, more quality at the moment. And with the spotty form of Brentford, it is very possible that Liverpool would win. Now, I'm not saying it might not be a hard fight for Liverpool. I'm just expecting a Liverpool victory.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, Liverpool has the better team when you look at the likes, as you mentioned, of a Jota, a Darwin Nunes, a Diaz. When you look at the backline of Virgil van Dijk, and I'm hearing as well that Salah, having picked up an injury, has no return to training. So he may see some game time in this one as well, if not start. So that is definitely something to look forward to. And the potential that may create within this Liverpool team as well. He has been away from the team for a few weeks now. So possibly throwing him in at the deep end may throw off the balance and the chemistry of this team, Christoph. I mean, a team which you have mentioned has been picking up steam of late.
Yeah, but as with Tottenham, we thought well, I thought Son would start. You said he would be the bench. It is very possible that Klopp might decide not to start
Yeah, I
Salah at
think
this
I
moment.
think Salah is gonna come off the bench as well. I feel Klopp will go with the front three which has been doing the business thus far. Darwin, Jota, and Diaz. I think that will be the front three. Trent is picked up an injury again, so Bradley, I believe, potentially could come in. But again, I think Klopp will see the physicality of this Brentford team and start Gomez on that right back side. So the back line should possibly read Gomez, Kwanzaa, Van Dijk, and Robertson, along with possibly Alisson returning in goal. I just think that Klopp will have one eye on the physical presence of those Brentford players, especially on set pieces, and may start another centre back, you could say, a more firmer defensive unit in the likes of Gomez versus Bradley, with possibly Brantley coming into the game later, depending on how this game is unfolding. Same thing with Salah. I think Salah will start on the bench, coming back from an injury, and then potentially making an impact from the bench. But I just feel, Christoph, that Frank has something up his sleeve. We're going to be expecting a low block as per usual, two banks of four, so to speak, or even a back five at times. And pretty much Frank daring Liverpool to break down the team. Of course, Ivan Toney will consistently be a threat on the counter and in front of their home fans. It would not surprise me if Ivan Toney hit the back of the Liverpool net in this match, Christoph. I mean, he is that good of a striker. Throughout his suspended period, he has been linked with some of the top clubs, and he may very well get that move from Brentford come this summer. And I'm sure he's going to be moving to one of those top teams. I would say possibly a Arsenal or even a Manchester United. I mean, if I was United, I will be going out to get Tony to bolster their front line, in all honesty. He is that good of a striker with Premier League experience as well.
You don't think Rasman Highland will grow into the team?
No, but I mean, any team, you're going to need two quality number nines, to be honest, because, injuries, squad depth, you're participating in four competitions, and Ivan Toney is a ready-made striker to go in and get the business done. So while Highland continue to develop, learning from a top player like Tony may very well aid in his development. So, I mean, if I was Manchester United, Arsenal, I would definitely be looking at the possibility of signing Ivan Toney. Even Chelsea, Chelsea is starved of a number nine, a quality nine, ever since you could say the departure of Drogba. They have really failed to fill that void left with a quality nine who can serve them for 3, 4, 5 years.
I mean,
So they
they
should be
did
looking at Tony as well.
they did temporarily fill the void with Diego Costa for about a season.
Yeah,
That
but
one
no
season, but
long-term
after that,
replacement. I'm
right,
talking about a long-term replacement. I mean,
right, but
Ivan Toney is around 27, 28 now, so you're looking at possibly a good 4 years of his peak right there. And that's what you need in order to survive and even challenge in the Premier League. You're looking at players who can get you 20 goals a season. That is possibly why Liverpool is punching as high as they are punching. They have Salah. He is a consistent player who's going to get you 20 goals a season. And then other strikers, other players are going to chip in with 8 goals, 9 goals, 10 goals, accompanied with some assists, the likes of a Darwin Núñez, for example. He has been racking up not only the goals, but also the assists. So his attacking output is really adding up. So on paper, Liverpool is the better team, naturally, leading the league. But I just have a funny feeling, Christoph, that this Brentford team is gonna create an upset. So for me, I'm gonna go out on a limb, Christoph, and I'm gonna call Brentford for an upset win in this one. I'm not sure what the scoreline will be, but I am taking Brentford for the upset win. What say you? What's your predicted scoreline?
Um, I would say Liverpool 3-1. But like you said, I do feel Brentford have the potential to possibly draw or win the game, but at the moment I'm going to go Liverpool 3, Brentford 1.
Ah,
Ivan
fair
Toney
call,
will
fair
score.
call. I definitely can't agree with you on this one, but we'll definitely see how this game plays out in the end. I am sure though that Liverpool will concede. They have been conceding, especially the first goal in several matches. One would have expected them to keep a clean sheet in their previous game versus Burnley. And we saw what transpired in that game. In fact, for that game, I would consider Liverpool lucky based on the chances that Burnley created. And if similar chances are created in this game versus Brentford, I have no doubt that Ivan Toney is going to take those chances. So for me, Christoph, I just have a gut feeling that Tony, Frank, and this Brentford team has something up their sleeve, with their fans behind them. I just feel they're going to beat this Liverpool outfit and really get the tongues wagging as it relates to the title race. And with Man City also playing in this game week and playing their game in hand as well. Even if Liverpool win this game, Man City to me will end the weekend or the game week top of the league with a 1 point lead. And of course, if Liverpool loses this game, then Man City will definitely not only have a 1 point lead, that lead will be extended. So I'm gonna be locked in to watch this one. But we move viewers and subscribers. And the next big game, Christoph. Speaking of Man City, we have Man City taking on Chelsea. Talk to us about this game. Chelsea has been on the rise of late. How do you see this one playing out?
So for me, I think it's going to be a tricky game for Chelsea. But surprisingly, I would say they have a chance to win because if you recall earlier in the season, we thought Chelsea stood absolutely no chance against Man City, only for them to draw 4-all. The question is, has Pep and has Man City learned from the mistakes they made in that first game? Or has it been where Pochettino has learned more and has figured out how to deal with Man City? I think coming into this game, we know Chelsea's strength lies in their wingers, and they'll be looking to maybe get those quick counter attacks out to the wide areas because um how Man City normally plays, you would think the weakest area for them would be the wings, but because of how they have basically all centre backs playing. They when they go in to do a box midfield, anybody can slot into almost any position in the back line, so it doesn't disrupt anything for them. Uh, I think Chelsea should attack the wings, but Pep Guardiola might think that and have a plan for it. So it's very is a very tricky
So you're
game.
looking at a tactical battle then, Christoph.
I think it's going to be a very tactical battle. We
And
have
not as
seen
open as the first game, which as you mentioned ended what, 4-4?
4-4.
Or
We have seen where Pochettino does seem like he might have Pep Guardiola's ticket a lot of the times. So I think this will be a very, very good game tactically for those who enjoy the tactics of football, but it might not be as a free-flowing football game for maybe like the neutrals, but tactically
ah
this will be excellent.
For me, I'm not seeing it that way at all. I'm actually seeing the opposite of what you're seeing, with Erling Haaland back and also Kevin De Bruyne back. I'm looking at this as an easy Man City win, Christoph. I give Chelsea absolutely no chance in this one, especially with them having one eye on the Carling Cup final. I think Man City is just gonna come and run riot over this Chelsea team, especially at the Etihad. I thought what happened in the first game was Man City was still finding their feet. They started off the season fairly rocky, fairly suspect, and that game came very early in the season as well. Now they have settled into a rhythm, they have settled into a pattern. Their best players are now fit and playing. Foden is red hot. Haaland has been amongst the goal. Kevin De Bruyne have come back and have hit the ground running. And of course, you have tricky wingers like Doku. And of course, their backline have always been a solid one. So I see nothing other than a Man City win for this one, Christoph. In fact, I think it will be an easy walkover. I give Chelsea absolutely no chance in this one. And I think Man City is just going to take them apart fairly easy. Uh, that's just my view on it. I mean, Chelsea, on the other hand, they've been up and down all season. They have gotten a few good results of late, but in the big picture, they are sitting 10th, Christoph. The table doesn't lie. They are
Yeah,
sitting
yeah,
in 10th
indeed.
position, and you're looking at matching up second versus 10th.
Well, indeed, they are intent, and we have seen where they can go toe to toe with the big teams. Even if they're intent, they're having a bad season. Um, uh, some would say it's the new management's fault, new owner's fault. Um, Chelsea has indeed, struggled recently, but I thought they would have been absolutely destroyed in the first leg. So I'm taking a more conservative approach to it. I don't think they are, and they're not going to go to Man City to go and try and play expansive and outplay Man City, right? We know Erling Haaland is a threat. We know De Bruyne is a threat. I think Pochettino will come with a plan for them. the
I
pl-
mean,
the plan
definitely.
might not be
He come with
effective.
a
It,
pan.
it it might not be effective on the day. I think we will probably see Man City dominance in the first half. I think Chelsea will go in, reorganize. Pochettino will reorganize halftime, and then second half we will see a completely different game. But I think Chelsea have the potential to win. I'm not saying they are definitely going to win, but I think they have the potential
I
to
I
win this
see
game.
nothing other than a Man City dominant performance, bossing the game from start to finish, dominating possession and having Chelsea on the ropes for the entire 90. They are going to be forcing Chelsea to pretty much play on the counter attack. Now, will that be effective is another question. I can see them scoring in this game, especially with the likes of a Cole Palmer, former Man City player. Oftentimes in the EPL, you see former players scoring against their old team. So it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Cole Palmer found the back of the net. But I just think this Man City team, in the sort of mood and form they're in, just have too much firepower for this Chelsea unit. I don't believe their defense is that good to keep this Man City team at bay, especially playing away from home. The likes of a Silva is now past his prime, and he is Chelsea's number one defender. Up against the quality of a Haaland. I don't see it happening, Christoph, to be honest with you. And as you mentioned, they are still Chelsea is still dealing with a few injuries, and you may have a few players not necessarily playing in their best position. And of course, their struggles up front continues finding the back of the net. So while they have the likes of a Sterling, of a Modric, of a Jackson, who is now back from the African Cup of Nations, and Kunku as well, these players have not really found their rhythm in the team. They have been in and out of the team, whether through injuries or international commitments. And when they do find themselves in the team, the lack of production is there for all to see. Hence the reason they're sitting in 10th position. So for me, I don't think the table is telling any lies. I just feel the strength of this Man City team is going to be too much. So even though Puck is a quality coach and may come with a plan in hand, I just think the quality on paper and the sort of form that Man City is in right now, it's hard to see them getting anything other than all 3 points and really just cruising to another victory.
Perhaps that might happen on the day. It might happen on the day. I just think Chelsea. And specifically, Pochettino will come with a very good plan
Tell
in
us
mind.
about that, Christoph. What's your take on the tactical approach that a Pochettino may take based on the available personnel? How do you stop Haaland? How do you stop Kevin De Bruyne? Do you man mark Kevin De Bruyne?
Well, stopping Erling Haaland is very easy. One of two ways. You stop the service from De Bruyne, right? That's it.
So that's
Stop the
the
service
first
from
way.
Bruyne. That is the first way, and I think it might be the easiest way, depending on how you want to play. Man mark Kevin De Bruyne, keep him out of the game, and if he's starting, because I'm not 100%
Yes, man.
certain he's starting.
Definitely, definitely, without
You
a doubt, man.
without that,
De Bruyne will start.
I'm not 100, but
Yes, De Bruyne
if
will start. First name on the team sheet.
if Kevin De Bruyne starts, man mark him, lock him out of
Man
the game.
mark him. We have never seen that. Have we seen that before? A
Uh,
tactic tried?
I don't know. I don't see people really
So
doing man marking
who are
much
you?
anymore.
Right, I don't see that. So I highly doubt Pochettino is going to take that approach of pretty much man marking a Kevin De Bruyne. I really don't see that, to be honest.
All right.
Yeah, I mean,
The
you may keep a close eye on him, but I don't see the likes of a Caicedo, for example, following around Kevin De Bruyne everywhere he goes on the pitch. I really don't see that happening. I think managers have moved away from that and will take a more collective defensive approach. But that's the first way, Christoph,
oh
you mentioned. What's the second way? I mean,
I
stopping Kevin De Bruyne is the first way. What's the second way you're looking at?
before I move on, I think man marking is still an effective way to stop a player, and I think it's probably more effective now, given that everybody is trying to do man marking. Not man marking, zonal marking. I think man marking will be more effective right now.
Mm,
Similar to how we see a lot of teams playing in the low block, we've seen basically the extinction of the number 10. I think a number 10 would thrive right now with a low block with these teams that play low blocks. The second way to stop Erling Haaland is a low block. Erling Haaland is very much
No,
a
but
penalty box
but
striker.
Christoph, that's what every team that plays against Manchester
No, no,
City
no, no,
have
no,
been
no.
doing,
No, no, no,
and
no,
he
no.
continue to devastate defenses.
Yeah, the problem is these teams, they're playing the low block, but they're pushing their block all the way back into their penalty area. Do not move that block beyond the 18 yard. That is where you put the block, and then
Mm.
you lock out your fullbacks lock out those wingers.
Oh, so you're
Fullbacks and the
saying
wingers.
low block, but not too deep a low block, then, so to speak. So
Exactly.
what
Similar
does
to
that do,
how
though, Christoph? What is it that playing that deeper low block that Haaland is still beating that system? What
uh,
is he doing that allows him to beat that system versus what you're suggesting?
oh, I'm saying how Haaland beats that system normally is that he's generally, for the most part, playing against lower quality defenders. When you look at Haaland versus Man City versus Arsenal earlier this season, we saw where Haaland could not get on the ball. He was
Right.
basically in William Saliba back pocket for the entire game. Yeah, Saliba. I saw a play where Haaland was a
So,
long ball
so what
forward.
I'm getting to me, I think the best way to really nullify Haaland is what Rudiger did when they played against Real Madrid in the Champions League, which is pretty much to man mark Haaland and play him very physical.
Right,
That to me is the way to go. Play Haaland very physical, man mark him, harass him, hustle him, trip him up, throw him
right.
off balance.
So I
You
was
know,
getting
so
to that. That if
yeah, to me
in the
is the
game
way.
versus in the game versus Arsenal, we saw Saliba rough him up, and
Exactly, exactly.
We saw where Haaland looked very disheartened in that
So
game.
to me, that is the way to really stop Haaland. So I wouldn't man mark De Bruyne. The man I would man mark is Haaland. And then I would just tell one of my defensive midfielders to pick up runners coming through, which is how Man City
No,
oftentimes
no,
beat
no.
teams
Well,
by picking up runners. So when Kevin De Bruyne run beyond Haaland to get in behind, the midfielder goes with him, filling the space that any one of the centre back may have left when they continue to pretty much play Haaland in a close marking situation.
mhm. Yeah. But okay, so that's your take. Man mark Haaland. Which I agree because I agree with man marking, right? Zonal marking has its place, but I think when you're playing certain games, you need to man mark certain players, especially if you're going to stop a team who you perceive to be better than you or at least in better form than you. You need to man mark people. And we've seen the likes of Jose Mourinho employ this a lot when he's playing against teams that have very good players, very good creative players. He will tell one of his midfielders or a defender, hey, man, mark this player. Do not leave him no matter what. If he drops deep, follow him.
Right. Yeah, I mean, definitely Mourinho is a proponent of the man marking system. I can't disagree with that, but I really don't see Puck in the mold of a Mourinho. Puck is more of a team, a collective approach, a more tactical coach in terms of formation and, putting players in, correct position and, zonal, you know, closing down spaces, that sort of pressing type system. So that's a system I expect Chelsea to come with, not necessarily a man marking system. And even if they come with a plan, I just feel the quality of a Pep in terms of making the necessary adjustments, the quality of the City bench, and just those in-game changes. When you look at a player like a Kevin De Bruyne, who can play multiple positions within the same game. So he could possibly start on the right and then drift in the middle, interchange with a Foden. So, these are positionless players, so to speak, Christophe. So it's going to be
Well,
hard,
Phil
very
Foden
hard
is
to stop
also
these
a very
players.
big threat right now.
Right, Foden,
So,
he's
so
popping up and getting some
what do
goals.
you think the tactical approach would be for both Chelsea and Man City?
Well, Man City will be Man City, the usual build from the back, short passing, high football, pretty much. And when there's a chance for the counter, you have the speedy wingers like Adoku, and of course Haaland is up front. So we know what Man City is gonna come with. It's gonna be your typical Man City approach. The bigger question is, what can Pochettino do to nullify this City threat? I mean, we saw, as you mentioned, in reference to the first game where that one ended 4-4, Chelsea was at home on that occasion. And to a large extent, they went toe to toe with Man City. A few quality goals, I recall. Rodri had a goal from outside the 18, I believe. And that is another thing with Man City as well, Christoph. Even though you go into a low block, there is the shooting from range. The quality of a Rodri or the quality of a Kevin De Bruyne oftentimes can still penetrate your defense from long distance. So
No,
that
no,
is another threat. So you also have to be wary of that. So I can definitely take your point where you're not necessarily looking to drop too deep into that low block because of the shooting from range. But at the same time, not dropping too deep is going to leave space behind your defense for the likes of a Foden or a Doku to run into. So it's going to be a tough game, to be honest, for Chelsea. It's hard to see how you stop the City team. You can just come with your best plan, hope that they are not playing at their maximum, and you have to be clinical in terms of the chances you create and take. So that has to be the approach Chelsea must take. Defend well, take your chances when you get them. You can't be wasteful in front of goal. You have to really put away your chances once you're in that position to really get into a goal scoring opportunity. You have to be clinical in front of goal. And I think that is going to be pretty much the recipe to beat this Man City team. Anything other than Chelsea playing at their best and really taking their chances, I don't see how they leave the Etihad Stadium with any points at all. It's second versus 10th. And again, I don't believe the table is lying. Chelsea is just not of the same quality of a Man City. There are 9 other teams in the league, which in its current form is better than Chelsea. It's as simple as that. And I don't think they're anywhere near to the level of a Man City. But as we know, the ball is round, and definitely anything can develop, can happen. Players can get sent off. We can never tell. So hence the reason we play the game. But for me, Christoph, I see this one ending with a Man City victory. What's your predicted scoreline for this one?
Let's go with a 2-all draw.
So you're gonna call this one a draw again. All right, no problem. We'll definitely see how this one plays out. 2-2, you're saying. What's your take on this one, viewers and subscribers? Leave your predicted scoreline in the comment section. But of course, Christoph, we have some other games taking place on the weekend. How do you see some of the other games panning out? For example, we have Arsenal. Arsenal should be playing. Who are they playing in that
Burnley.
one, Christoph? Burnley. I mean, how do you see that one panning out? Do you give Burnley any glimmer of hope?
On paper, Burnley is an easy victory. Should
Yeah, I
be an easy
mean,
victory.
possibly
They
another 6-0.
Uh, I I I don't know if it will be another 6-0. It would be excellent and it would show that Arsenal are serious and they mean business. But Arsenal do have a tendency to get complacent after getting big victories. Um, I would go with an Arsenal victory. I don't think Burnley are Premier League quality.
Yeah, I mean, this should be another easy walk in the park for Arsenal. You can, bet your house on this one. This one is
No,
a banker.
I would
Yeah,
not do
another
that.
3 points for Arsenal, so to speak. I mean, we saw Burnley versus Liverpool, and while they huffed and puffed, the quality of a Liverpool was just too much. And if we are to go by recent results with Arsenal beating Liverpool and then, of course, hammering West Ham 6-0, then this should be an easy win for this Arsenal unit. Finish the game early and then give your starters a decent little rest. But what of the other games, Christoph? Manchester United, who do they take on?
They will take on Luton, I believe, away from home.
Right, right. How do you see that one?
On paper, it should be an easy victory for them, but we know their form
Luton
is a
away
bit
from home.
spotty.
Luton have been scoring a few goals of late, Christoph.
Luton has been scoring a few goals, and Liverpool can attest that they are potentially difficult
Yeah, and
opposition.
Newcastle as well. I mean, Newcastle, what? That one
Newcastle
ending
as well.
4-4.
Right, so they have been picking up form. Manu has also
And
been
of
picking up
course,
form.
they beat Brighton as well. Just remembering, I know Luton had beaten, I believe, Brighton 4-2. Well, I know it was a big score, 4-0, I believe. Luton
Right.
had destroyed Brighton. So,
I I think
I,
this could be a dangerous game for Manu because Luton is clearly the smaller team, and they are, they'll say, hey, maybe Manu is the bigger team. I mean, they're playing at home, so they will want to win, right? But the question is, as Luton, do you look and say, hey, like we've been saying, Manu can only score on the counter attack. Do we say, hey, let's give them the ball and let them try to break us down and then we
yeah, I think
counter.
that will be the approach. Yeah, for sure. I think that will
And
be the approach of
if
Luton,
if that
and
if
that
that
may
if
work
that
in their favor.
if if that is the approach Luton take, I think Manchester United will be losing those 3 points on the day.
Bowl call there, Christoph. This is definitely an interesting take on that game. It's hard to see United losing, to be honest, on the back of the sort of farm. They've now won three on the bounce.
Right.
Playing away from Luton. I don't really see this upset, to be honest. I don't see it. While Luton may put up a valiant fight, I believe United have enough quality and have the rich vein of farm they're in to really get the 3 points. But it would not surprise me, as I said, Luton can definitely point to some very good performances where they have gotten all 3 points or they have left with a draw. So another big team in front of a very jubilant fan on a small pitch, so to speak. It's possible. It's possible. I would not. I mean, earlier in the season, I would have written off Luton, but to be honest, based on the sort of performances they have been putting up of late, I do give them a chance in this one. They may not win, but I think they will put up a valiant fight, definitely. But Aston Villa, Christoph, who does Aston Villa take on? That's another team which
Aston
have
Villa
been
take on Fulham away from home.
pull them away from home. They definitely need to get back onto winning ways. Leon Bailey have signed his big contract now. But Aston Villa last game versus Manchester United ended in defeat. And as a result, they have looked as if they may be slipping out of the top four. How do you see that one, Christoph? Do you think Aston Villa can bounce back away to Fulham?
Well, they have to. It's the sort of game where you have to bounce back in this match. Fulham is in 12th, and Fulham all season has been very spotty. No real consistency in their game at the moment. They've been losing and drawing games. They did, however, win their last game, but last five, I think it's two wins, one loss, and two draws. So it's very spotty. Aston Villa, this is a game Aston Villa need to go into to definitely win. Because I said I think they'd be running out of steam around this time. So far, that's what it looks like, right? But it's too early to say. I think Unai Emery will come up with a game plan. I well, I think he'll play how he's been playing and try to go for the win against his team. The question is, does Fulham follow the example of maybe Manchester United last week? But you also need to have, quality finishers in your team if you want to get one over on Aston Villa currently. Aston Villa is the better team. Aston Villa should win, but with Aston Villa's poor form in the last five, it remains to be seen.
Yes, definitely. Aston Villa need to get back onto the winning track in order to maintain their top four status. But Christoph, any final thoughts for this, weekend of football action? Final words. We are quickly wrapping up the podcast at this point.
Looking at the fixtures on this weekend, I think it will be a very, very good football weekend for the neutrals. And it will be very good for some of the home fans, some of them. But I think the neutrals will enjoy this weekend much more. And I'm expecting that Chelsea Man City game. I think is going to be very tactical. You think it's going to be free flowing football. So let's look forward to that one and see who comes out on top.
Yes, indeed, Christoph. Some very profound thoughts there. I also expect this one, Christoph, to be a weekend of upset. I expect Liverpool to lose away to Brentford, to be honest, and really send the cats amongst the pigeons, so to speak. But there you have it, viewers and subscribers. Thank you again for tuning into us here on Beating the Press podcast. Again, please remember to like, share, and of course, subscribe if you haven't subscribed as yet. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.